Miles le Gallois rose to greet him, an expression of concern on his face. "Guy, we had not looked for you so soon." "A man rides quickly when the devil snaps at his heels," Guyon answered, bowing to his father. Then he rose, kissed his sister, and stepped over the trestle to take the place hastily made for him. His limbs suddenly felt leaden, and the room wavered before his eyes. "The wonder is that you did not fall off. Guy, you look dreadful." Emma gave a peremptory signal to the squire serving the high table. "Do I?" He took the cup of wine presented to him. "Perhaps I have good reason." He was aware of them all staring at him, their anxiety tangible. "Surely the king did not refuse to grant you your uncle's lands?" His father looked incredulous. Guyon shook his head and stared into the freshly poured wine. "The king was pleased to acknowledge me the heir and grant me all rights and privileges pertaining," he said in a flat voice. It was 3 months since his uncle had died fighting the Welsh on the island of Mom that some called Anglesey. Gerard had been a childless widower, and Guyon his named heir. But King William Rufus had been known to favour money above heredity when it came to confirming grants of land. Guyon had gone to Rufus in Normandy to make his claim, and he had what he desired, at a price. "Then why the dark looks for such good news?" his father demanded. "What else has happened?" Disinclined to make a public announcement of the news, Guyon tightened his grip around his cup. The ride had been so difficult and cold that he could barely think straight. His sister set her hand over his. "You are frozen. What were you thinking to make a journey in such weather? Could it not have waited?" "I'll have the servants prepare a tub in the solar, and you'll come there now where it's warm." Some of the bleakness lifted from Guyon's spirit, and his lips twitched. Emma still viewed her 3 years' seniority over him as a license to command his obedience, more so since their mother had died of a sweating sickness 2 winters ago. While Emma's husband travelled with the court as an assistant chamberlain, she dwelt here on the Welsh border, terrorising servants and family alike with her demands for a state of gracious domestic order. This time Guyon chose not to rebel, and after a single look, let her have her way. "You'd better stir the cooks to provision for my men," was all he said as he rose to follow her. "They will be here within the hour, and cursing me to the devil." Emma started to scold him about the folly of outriding them when the marches were so dangerous and unsettled, but Guyon let the words tumble away from him like spots of melting snow. Once the steaming tub was ready, Guyon began to disrobe, and Emma dismissed the maids with an autocratic snap of her fingers, causing him to lift his brows. Caddy, his white gazehound bitch, fussed around him, wagging her tail and panting. He paused in his undressing to pat her flank and tousle her silky ears. Miles dropped the curtain behind the 2 girls. "I doubt that Guyon has any designs on ravishment just now, Emma," he remarked dryly. She scowled. "From what my husband tells me of the court, Guy would have designs on ravishment even if he were tied down and bludgeoned half unconscious." "Half the tale and a fraction of the truth," Guyon defended himself as she snatched his padded tunic out of his hands and nudged Caddy away with the side of her leg. "It would depend who was doing the tying and what she had in mind." As Emma made to cuff him, he ducked with agility, straightened, and, seizing her by the shoulders, delivered a smacking kiss to her cheek. Emma glared at him, but her mouth started to curve, despite her best efforts to keep it straight. "You need not attempt your courtier's tricks on me. I know them by rote." Falsely crestfallen, Guyon released her with a sigh and began to unlace his shirt. "I suppose you do." The teasing look fell from his face. "But I needs must hope they still have their effect on other women." Emma's gaze narrowed. "Not within this keep," she said with asperity. "I was thinking further up the march. Maurice Fitzroger's daughter, to be precise." "What?" Miles, who had been lounging against a coffer, was suddenly alert. "Judith of Ravenstow," Guyon said, and having removed the rest of his garments, stepped into the steaming tub.